Hey everybody, we're gonna start making some sourdough bread. I'm gonna post a recipe. The recipe for the bread is called Vermont Sourdough. It comes from this book called Bread by Jeffrey Hamelman. He's actually the head baker at King Arthur Flour, so a very good source. And to start off, there's gonna be a couple of different steps. Whenever you make sourdough bread, you always have to start the night before to make a levain build. That's a small amount of flour, water, and starter. And then the next day you're gonna add in more water, more flour, the starter, and the salt. So I've got a couple of different tools here and things here. I've got my scale, I've got water, I've got my sourdough starter, I have my bread flour. The bread flour can either be ideally King Arthur bread flour in the blue bag. You can use all-purpose flour if you don't have that. I've got my KitchenAid, I've got my bowl scraper, and then I've got a couple of different tools. So this is the paddle. So your KitchenAid should have a paddle. And then depending on which KitchenAid you have, you're gonna have two different dough hooks. You're either gonna have a pigtail or you're gonna have a C-hook. The smaller ones I think have C-hooks, mine has the pigtail. For now I'm gonna be using the paddle. And in terms of the levain build, there's 3 ingredients. There is 1 ounce of sourdough, there's 6 ounces of water, and 4.8 ounces of bread flour. So I'm gonna take my bowl, I'm gonna turn on and zero out my scale, and the first thing I'll do is take 1 ounce of the sourdough. And 1 ounce is actually more than you think. For the amount of sourdough culture that I keep, usually I can make 1 to 2 breads before having to refresh my starter. But it's actually good to keep your starter refreshed pretty frequently. It just makes it a bit more active. All right, so I've got 1 ounce of starter. I'm going to zero out my scale, and I'm going to put in 6 ounces of water. I try to be as exact as possible. All right, 6 ounces of water. I zero it out. Now I'm doing 4.8 ounces of flour. All right. Turn off the scale. Put it on the KitchenAid. I'm going to use the paddle for this step because there's not that much in the bowl. Put it on, and you're going to turn it on speed 1, and you're only going to mix it until it's all combined and nice and smooth. All right. So, if you take a look at it, it's going to look like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bowl scraper. I'm going to try and get off as much from the paddle as I can. And now all I'm going to do is scrape down the sides of the bowl. All right, so when you're done, it's going to look roughly like this. And now to finish off the step for this evening, just take some cling wrap. can cover the bowl. And we're done for about the next 12 to 16 hours. See you guys again in the morning.